at the posters from the time of the magic and everything, they had all these little impish devil characters and stuff like whispering in the ears of the magi, of the magicians and the illusionists in their posters and everything, like there was some sort of macabre, occult, dark secrets that were being passed on from the netherworld to these guys. And I always found that really fascinating because I very much lean into that kind of look and feel and persona to the. Although it is you've got a very wicked and fun sense of humor. I mean, people hear me on the radio, they think I'm a comedian or something like that, or I do comedy movies or something. But that's just my personality and my sense of humor. But that translates into my show. Because you've seen it. Even in Dark Realm, you get a little taste of that and everything. And it's really interesting. So The Prestige was another one that Bowie did that I just loved.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Didn't I'm trying to think who was his co-star when he played Tesla? Who was his co-star in that movie?
Hugh Jackman's in that, and Chris. I'm thinking the Batman.
Oh, okay.
He played Batman. Yeah.
Christian Bale.
Because Chris Nolan did. Christian Bale. Thank you. Yeah. Bale was in that. And I think Scarlett Johansson's in that too, and she's always good to watch. So
more ways than one. Now.
Oh, in many, many ways. Yes, agreed.
Now, do you find it hard getting assistance, to go into the coffin?
No, I mean, it's one of those things where when I'm, auditioning for people and interviewing people to do that, the lovely ladies that are other performers, many of them come out of the world of burlesque and other things, that I work with in the show and other live performances in theater and things like that. Work with a lot of actresses as well. And, you kind of understand, that when you go into it, you're going to be locked in a lot of boxes and things like that. Because that's just a lot of what comes with an illusion show is that, at some point you're getting shoved in a box, myself included. So yeah, I mean, and I've had people more nervous about one thing or another. But I mean, and that's nothing you're going to say yes to. You're not going to lean into that and say yes to that gig if you don't want to get, put in a box and spun around on stage and have to crawl around and, do what's required in those kind of props in that kind of show. So no, but in that one that you were talking about, yeah, and I heard you reference it earlier, the cremation illusion. It is a cremation live on stage. We take her out. It's kind of presented as a witch burning, and we put her into the coffin and then set the coffin on fire, and we'll close the lid, spin it around, and then when we open it up, there's nothing left at the end but a smoldering skeleton. And if you are leery of props like that, because there's an element of danger because there's fire and things like that. So you have to know what you're doing, and we train everybody. Most of the people I work with, they are brave and daring young ladies, and they love a challenge. So they're not. I haven't had anybody that was too nervous about jumping in there. As long as you know what you're doing, everything's fine. It's like eating a razor blades. As long as you know what you're doing, you're fine.
Yeah, but how long did it take you to master, eating razor blades?
Well, it took me a while. I researched it well for a while first, and then researched it some more, and then you started to work on it and rehearse it. And then eventually took it on stage. But even, along all those times and all the protocols you have of what needs to happen when and how to handle them and things like that, still, you'll get a nick, you'll get a cut, and I've done, things like that where I go in and I show that the razor blades are real in the beginning. And in that, at one point, just from the excitement of being on stage and not paying very strict attention to what I was doing at the moment. I ran it down, to cut something, this envelope with it, and as I did it, it went through and went right down my finger behind it, and I was bleeding all over the stage and everything, and had to get bandaged up a bit so I could continue with the show. Not because it hurt that bad, but there was enough blood coming out where it was hard to hang on to the props.
Oh, wow. Now, how was the audience handling that?
Well, because of my audience, and I do some general audience stuff, but my audience, they come to see me and they know what I'm about, and they know I'm eating razor blades and doing some provocative and crazy things in the show, and they know me, and they're a bunch of lovers of horror, sci-fi, and fantasy themselves. So when they come to the show, they're kind of indoctrined into that already. They come to see the freaky fun, the dark, sticky fun, and that's good. Although I will get people in the front row. I'll get some ladies sometimes that are literally watching stuff like that. Through their fingers. Some people have a hard time watching that, which is another reason that's exactly why that's in the show. I'll walk out there and I'll many times open with the razor blade act. And that's good because that gets everyone's attention. Once I go out there and I do that, I can do pretty much any damn thing I want to after that because I have their attention at that point.
Oh, wow. Now, have you ever had any assistants at all freak out, during a show or anything?
Yeah, I've had some people have some difficulties and things like that, but I'm not going to send anybody out there without rehearsal, without and make it a point too. That these are all other performers, other people with some sort of performance, whether it be theater, dance, burlesque, some other discipline. They're used to being in a performance situation and used to putting things together and used to being in front of an audience. So generally, no. I don't run into anything really like that. And most everybody can kind of keep themselves together. And, it's like anything, a magic and illusion show, you have a lot of props, and just mechanically, something could get broke, something could go wrong, something could get stuck. It's just inevitable. The more you do it, it's going to happen. So, as we're all able to pretty much think on our feet out there, and those are the kind of people that I choose to work with, and because they've all been in performance situations themselves on their own and created their own performance pieces and everything, and been in other shows, so they're used to that. They know that even if they're out there, they have enough confidence that even if something goes wonky, goes adrift, they can keep it together, and we just go out there and we finish what we're doing. So I haven't had anybody like really freak out or anything like that. You can kind of anybody who has that big a misgiving about any of that is going to say no to that gig in the first place, or should say no to it.
Oh, wow. Now, where are you going to be touring at in the next month or two or 3 or 4?
I'm actually right now. It's a little quiet at this point in the year, and then I'm working on booking some conventions and other things later in the year. I'll come back and let you know as that. We're talking now, but I really can't say anything yet. We haven't put out calendar yet because we're still booking things and routing things. But I'm working on a lot of other video things still. I'm still promoting the new movie, The Devil Frame, which they're still putting together their distribution plan for that, because it's another indie horror film. And indie movies right now it's a huge moving target out there because of the streaming world and everything, where it goes and how it goes out and everything. It's an ever almost month by month, changing scenario. There was a big shakeup in the world of indie film with a company called Distributor that a lot of people worked with. Last summer went belly up, and that sent ripples out. And there are a lot of indie filmmakers that got just screwed very badly by that company. and you know, the indie film distribution model, you know, is changing so much because you can put things out, especially on the digital platforms. You know, filmmakers can do that themselves, but they're still you know, doing screenings and then working on their distribution plan on exactly where it's going to debut, streaming and otherwise, with The Devil Frame, written and directed by Chicago filmmaker Rob Sepulveda, and that'll come out very soon. It'll be out sometime this year, but again, I don't have any new information I can talk about yet. With that, you know, so I've been, you know, we've been building the YouTube channel and putting on the old, the cable show, because I still get recognized for that. Like, you know, 20 some years later, after that thing went off the air, I still get recognized for the cable TV show. So I wanted to share it with a much wider audience, and it's got nostalgia value for people who did see it in the first place. So if you want to see any of my cable TV show, and be warned, if you know me now with the shaved head and the look I have now and everything, you know, this is like 25 plus years ago. And I have long blonde hair at the time, so it's quite a, you know, it's quite a snick to go back and and look at the crazy stuff I was doing at that point. It's still Gothic illusion and everything, but you know, it has a little a bit of a different vampire look to it than it does now. So there's a lot of that, and I'm actually working on a book as well. I started a book project because everyone, you know, like you and people keep saying, you've got so many cool stories, you should put them together in a book. So I started that writing process of putting that together. So I'll keep you posted on how that's coming along and how when we're ready to roll that out as well. So there's a lot of projects I'm working on, and I'm anxious to get back out on stage. We just finished a lot of things, you know. Up through last month, we did there was a holiday horror convention here in Chicago, and I just did that, you know, back in December, and some other gigs here, and we're getting ready to do a lot of conventions and stuff coming up, and there's more acting work coming up too that I can't, again, you know, they don't want me to release anything yet until they're ready to go.
Interesting. Now we're going to be going on break here for about 8 minutes here in about 2 minutes, but when we come back, I want you to tell everybody about that story. You know, with the coffin, the girl in your apartment. You remember that, right?
I'd be glad to.
Yeah.
It's a good story. Yeah. That's one of the stories in the book, actually.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, I never laughed. I was drinking tea when you originally told me that. And yeah. I had the mute button on. And, you know, as soon as you started explaining some of it, I tell you, the tea went over the monitors. I was laughing so hard.
That's perfect. That's what I want to hear, because it is. I've got some very crazy stories of that. There's a couple of other ones that, but when we had that cop in the apartment, yeah. Well, yeah. I'll tell you all about that when we come back from the break. But yeah.
Now, James, when you hear about this story, don't go out and buy a coffin, okay?
Okay, I guess not.
No, you can't have a coffin.
Dang it.
But, you know,
I think everybody should give it a go at least once, you know?
Well, I think, you know what, I think when I pass, I don't even know. I think I'm going to be composted when I go.
Composted, very nice. It's environmentally friendly.
It is. Washington State's the only state so far that's passed it where you can be composted. And I thought, you know, I would send my compost to people I didn't like.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Let them grow their tomatoes in the I won't tell them it's human compost.
Well, what if you wind up, because doesn't Washington have legal marijuana as well out there?
Oh yeah, you got that.
See, you could wind up coming back in one of the fields out there, and somebody could wind up, smoking later.
Full circle.
Yeah, you get a high off of me. I don't know. Well, anyway, we're going to go on break. We'll be back in about 8 minutes. James on the top hour is going to be doing the last of the Earth news tonight. And then we'll be back with Ron Fitzgerald, and we're going to find out about the coffin in his apartment. Interesting. So stay tuned to Night Dreams Talk Radio. We'll be back in a flash.